Welcome, one and all, from the Holy Land, the Holy Apple, Holy Time, Wednesday, Super Wednesdays, in Tapuach, 8/8. You got it, the 8th month, Mar Cheshvan, 8th day of the month, year 5779. Well, that would have been cool last year. It would have been 888. You know, last year was 5778. Okay, today's topic, with Hashem's help, I'm warning you right now, put on a couple of seat belts, because we're really going to go for a ride here. Okay, it's a little bit long, the topic, the headline, but you're okay. It's called The Real Shocking Story Behind Dama Benatina That They Never Taught You in School. Once again, I know it's a mouthful. The real shocking story behind Dama Benatina that they never taught you in school. So get those seatbelts ready, because we're going to roll. But before we get into our subject today about Dama Benatina, a few quickies here. Number one, last week we had a class with God's help. It was called God Bless BDS. Okay, now I'm going to give them, I know this is large of me. I know this is, you can't believe you're hearing this stuff here. Those of you that saw the class, I'm going to be blessing the BDS. Like, what's the trick? What's the hitch? But even this week, I'm going to come back. And you know what, BDS? I have some work for you guys to do. Right, I am giving you work. You're going to be able to make a lot of money. If you take my lead, you're going to be able to make a lot of money, because I'm giving you a lot of cases to check out. You're going to be busy in the next couple of weeks. So BDS, here it goes. Okay, you know this story, the phrase, the news that you never will hear on the mainstream? Well, I have news that not too many people know, because it just happened recently and not too many people have heard this. So this is news that even if you're on the uppity up, you haven't heard. And this is really an amazing news story. Okay, let's roll back about 2 weeks ago on the Sukkot holiday. It was a Sukkot holiday, and my daughter, gave her a plug here, my daughter Milka Budner and her husband Nitanel Budner and their kids, they went down to the Sinai desert, past Eilat. They went down to the Sinai desert to do a tremendous mitzvah, tremendous commandment. Thousands of Jews, during the times of the holidays, they go down to the Sinai desert to kick back, to chill out, whatever you want expression, hang loose, as we would say in LA, like this. And there's really nothing Jewish there that's happening. So there's a few righteous families like my daughter and my son-in-law that they go to the Sinai desert with their whole family. They set up a tent or a hut in the Sinai desert, and the word gets around, they spread the word around that there's a Jewish home in the Sinai desert. They say where they are, and they invite people to come for any and all meals during that holiday. So think about it. Sukkot in Israel is 7 days. For example, on the first day of Sukkot, they had 200 guests. Can you imagine that, baby? 200 guests. Which is really interesting, because the first day of Sukkot, who comes to visit our sukkah? Of course, it's Abraham and Sarah, and they were the prototypes. You wanted a tremendous example of kindness and of bringing in guests. It was Abraham. So on the first day you have 200 guests. You know that you're traveling in the footsteps of Abraham and Sarah. Anyways, so after, like the second day of Sukkot, the Bedouin fellow who rented out, it's hard to, when you use the word renting out, it's a little bit hard that, like renting out, you're thinking of, a room, a house. We're not talking about that. We're talking about, like these huts. We're talking about like third world. So the Bedouin fellow who rented out the space to my daughter and son-in-law, he comes up to them and say, listen, somebody in the area here, somebody in the neighborhood here called the police, called the Egyptian police. And the Egyptian police came to my house. And the Egyptian police, they told me that there are reports. Folks, hold on here. I don't want anyone to fall off their chairs. There are reports that neighbors, nomads, heard Jewish singing and Jewish prayer outside in the public thoroughfare. Oh my God! Hold on to your hats there. So our Bedouin friend who rented out the space to my daughter and son-in-law, he says, listen, I'm really asking you, I'm going to get in trouble here. I'm really asking you, cut out the prayers and cut out the singing and the one more thing that bothered them. There were words of Torah that were given. That was also a bothersome issue. Anyways, so my son-in-law was doing his best that he could, but there were a few people that were really getting into the prayers of Friday night, and they were Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Pinei Shabbat Nekabela, and my son-in-law, shh, guys, we're gonna get thrown out over here. Shh, keep quiet. Anyways, the police, they came back to our Bedouin friend and they said, listen, if this happens one more time, you're going to pay a dear price. I guess like mafia talk or something. You're going to pay a dear price. Folks, it's an amazing story. Amazing story. BDS, you got your work cut out for you. You got some work finally. Yeah. Go down BDS. Not go down Moses. Go down BDS. Go down to Egypt. You have a lot of homework you have to do here, because us Jews in Egypt land, we are not allowed to sing our Sabbath songs or our prayer song. We're not allowed to pray outside. We're not allowed to say words of Torah outside. Oh, baby. Apartheid city. So BDS, go down to Egypt, please. And I'd like to, if you'd like to contact me, no problem. You can contact me. Write a little comment below. I will get back to you with all the details which will be given to me by my daughter and my son-in-law and their family. So please get right back to me. I'm going to be holding my breath for your call or for your email. Please send a comment in the area below, in the comment section. Thank you. Now, if this was something new, it's not something new at all. Because if you go and you look at the so-called, we'll call it Constitution, for no better word, but if you look at the Constitution rag in these countries, like Iran and Syria and Iraq and Egypt and Saudi Arabia, you'll see that in their constitution, it says straight out, this is a Muslim country, the language is Arabic, and the religion, and you're not allowed to, definitely in public, you're not allowed to practice anything but, the Muslim religion. So you have your work cut out for you. Get to it, look it up, maybe Wikipedia. You could check out the language over there. Second piece of news that you might not have heard. we'll put this up to the camera so you can see. Very interesting shot over here. Okay, now why am I showing you pictures of Arab women on my class? Okay, so I'm going to...
You should read what it says.
I'm reading. Okay, so folks, why am I putting this up? If you see one more time, in the background there, behind this Arab woman, there are Sabbath candles, and the Sabbath, when we have wine, we drink the wine. Yeah, can you get those candles and Sabbath wine behind her? Okay, what's the connection? The left in Israel is freaking out. The left in Israel is freaking out. Why? Because we know that in another 13 days or so, there will be municipal elections all over Israel. In every municipality, there will be elections. Also in the city, in the mixed city of Jews and Arabs of Ramleh, there will be also municipal elections. And the party called the Beit HaYehudi, or the Jewish Home, they have posted up these billboards all over the city of Ramleh. And I'll read it to you what it says. Now you'll be able to understand why the Erev Rav, why the leftists are up in arms. It says the following. There are hundreds of cases of assimilation that take place in the city of Ramleh. And nobody besides us, the Jewish party, care what's happening. So tomorrow, this girl might be your daughter-in-law. Only a strong Jewish home will protect the Jewishness of Ramleh. So the leftists, they're up in arms, they're threatening here to take them to court, and they want those billboards immediately removed. Oh yes. Too much assimilation. They call it racism. Yeah, go to the BDS maybe. You guys make a good couple. The leftists in Israel and the BDS. So I'm going to read on. Yesterday, Tuesday, for the first time in all of the city of Ramleh, popped up billboards that are warning the Jewish citizens of Ramleh. Be careful of assimilation. On the billboard, we see a woman with the traditional head covering. Behind her are the Sabbath candles and the Shabbat wine. Due to this campaign, the head of the Meretz party, which is a far out left party, have gone to the committee of the elections in Israel, and they've asked to remove all these offensive campaign billboards from Ramleh. The head of this leftist party is a member of Knesset named Tamar. We won't say her last name because we, of course, any wicked person you are commanded to curse out. So we'll just add to her Shem Rishaim Tirkav. May her name be Rot. This is a embarrassment. This is a tremendous embarrassment to the Jewish people, especially in Ramleh. And this is a stepped up effort of racism and hatred. And we see that as time goes by, the craziness of the right wing knows no boundaries. Amazing. That's exactly our class. You know, those two news items that you won't hear anywhere else. The one about my daughter and son-in-law in the Sinai, and now in Ramleh, items that you will never hear anywhere else. This is the crux of the issue. The redemption depends on this separation, the segregation between the Jewish people and the non-Jewish world. Okay, folks, put on those seatbelts. The real story, the real shocking story, Dama ben Tina. Open up your tractate, Kiddushin, page 31, side A. There's a tremendous story there. The Talmud asks a question, can you tell us what length a person should go to observe the commandment of honoring one's parents? Now I have to tell you an amazing story. I know I just told you 2 stories here, but you're going to get a 3rd story here. Now it's amazing how this class came out today. It was supposed to really be last week, but then I got this, idea from Hashem. God sent me this message of the God Bless BDS, and we did the class on that. And anyways, it's tremendous divine providence that this class is today. Why? Because this subject of Dama ben Tina, of course, every little kid knows the story. Every big kid, when they grow up, they remember the story. It's a hard story to forget, as you will soon see. But Dama ben Tina, he is the pedestal of observing the honoring of one's parents, even though he was not Jewish. He lived in the city of Ashkelon in the days where it was ruled actually by non-Jews, that part of Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel. And so it's talking about who was the greatest in the commandment of honoring one's parents, and we have this non-Jew named Dama ben Tina. So today, another plug, today is my mother's 88th birthday. You got that? 88 for those that failed in math back then in high school or elementary school. 888 is 88. So Mom, if you're out there in YouTube world, wish you a tremendous, all my blessings to you in spirituality and in health and everything good. You should keep on going, and we should see today, we should all be together with the coming of the Messiah. So here I am able to honor my mother here. And the subject of this week's class, which was supposed to be last week, is on honoring one's parents. So you can't get better than that. Okay, here's the story. Story goes that the Jewish people in the time of the Second Temple, so we're going back about over 2,000 years ago, there is a dispute in the Gemara exactly what was lost. Something was lost inside the temple and was missing, and the Jewish people had to go out for a search in the big world to find this missing item. It was a missing stone. The question is, where was, not the rolling stone like in Mick Jagger, but a stone. So the question that there's a dispute on exactly, there's different opinions, what stone was it? There's an opinion that there was like an apron that the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, wore, and on top, on the shoulder area, there weren't like shoulder pads, not a football game here, but there were precious stone, and that was lost. And the Jewish people went out on a search to try to find somebody that could replace that stone. There's another opinion that on the breastplate of the high priest, there were the names of the 12 tribes, and the stone of Binyamin, which happens to be a stone in Hebrew, the name of it is Yashfeh. That stone was missing. The stone of Benjamin was missing, and the Jewish people went out to buy and replace this stone because it's missing from the high priest's clothes, and you know it's unusable. Okay, so they went out and they searched, and I don't know, Google, and they finally found a place that family deals with precious stones in Ashkelon, in the land of Israel. And they went down there, knocked on the door. Hello? Yes, my name is Dama Benatina. What can I do for you? We're the Jewish people. We're coming you, the committee for the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, and we're looking for this certain kind of precious stone. Belongs to the tribe of Benjamin, and it's been lost. He says, I could help you. However, my father is sleeping, and the key to the safe is under his head, and I'm not going to wake him up. So the Jewish people, being good, businessmen, they thought that maybe the price that they offer was too low, so they upped it. You don't understand. It has nothing to do with money. I'm not going to wake up my father. He just went to sleep, and I'm not going to cause him any agony and sorrow, and I'm not going to wake him up. So it's nothing to do with money. And then they up the price, and they're upping it again. You feel like you're bidding at some kind of marketplace. So, in the end, they left. And shortly after that, it says in the Talmud, the family of Dama Benatina, I guess they had a farm also. Not only did they deal in precious stones, they also had a farm. And in their farm, they had a birth of a red heifer, which is a special, rare type of cow that the Jewish people need in order to purify Jews, enabling them to enter the temple area. So if a person becomes impure, like he came in contact, he was in a cemetery, that makes you impure, or if you came in contact with dead animals, different ways to become impure. So, Mazal Tov, they had this little baby cow. And just to understand how rare this cow is, that from the time of Moses to the time of the end of the Second Temple, where this was needed, today, unfortunately, there is no temple and there is no red heifer. So, there's two opinions in the Talmud. One opinion is there were 7 of these red heifers, and another opinion is there were 9 of them. So you can understand, we're talking about from the time that the Jewish people, were in the desert, and then we go up, we're talking here close to 1,000 years. So it's very rare. In fact, today, if I'm not mistaken, you can check it out on YouTube. Today in Israel somewhere, they don't say where, of course, to protect it. There was born a month ago or 2 months ago, there was born a red heifer in Israel somewhere. So stay tuned. Keep your fingers starred. Okay, so anyways, so the Jewish people sometime later come back, and now they need a new red cow. And sure enough, where is it to be found? The same place that they were looking for the stone. So they go back and they offer a tremendous amount of money to Dama Benatina for his red cow. And he says, listen, I don't want a tremendous amount of money. I'm happy for you to give me the original figure when you came to my house the first time for the precious stone that was missing. That figure I'm willing to receive. Anyways, he received that figure, and this is the par excellence example that the Talmud gives us. If you want to know and understand the meaning of honoring one's parents, here we have Dama Benatina. He would have been able to have such a tremendous profit, a monetary profit from waking up his father, but he didn't want to cause his father, any agony. So that's the story. Now, in the famous book, it's called Sefer Hasidim, on page 255, or if you have a different edition, it's look for the law the 337th law. The Rav Yehuda HaChassid, he tells us some interesting laws based on a discussion on this Talmud. Now, if you were listening closely to this story, you should have raised your hand. We didn't see you raising your hand here. You should have raised your hand and said, listen, I don't get it. You know, if that was me sleeping, I would have been, you know, I would have wished to have been waken up. I would have maybe like, you know, I would have killed my son if he didn't wake me up. So, like, what's going on over here? So, Rabbi Yehuda Chassid, in his book Sefer Chassidim, he brings down these two laws. Number one, if there's a situation where the son or a daughter can make a profit, but it's their profit. It's not the profit of the parents. Right? The parents do not have anything to gain here. It's the profit of once again, not profits like P-R-O-F-I-T. It's only a profit of that kid. Then one is not allowed to wake up or agonize or do something that will cause agony to one's parents in order that I should profit. Okay? A person should take a loss, a personal loss, and not cause any agony, discomfort to one's parents. That's one law. Second law, if there is a gain, a profit for the parent, father or mother, then you would be allowed to wake up or to cause some kind of uncomfort to one's parents, discomfort for one's parents. There we go. Okay, so that's a law. Apparently in this case, if the Talmud is telling us that this is a prime example, number one on the hit list of honoring one's parents, then it must have been that the prophet was only for Dama ben Atina, the child, the son. It must have been his personal business. Okay. There's a commentary on this book, Sefer Chassidim. It's called Makor Chesed. Makor Chesed, he asks two unbelievable questions, and he gives one unbelievable answer. So here's the questions. Number one, I don't understand what's going on in this Talmud. What in the world is going on? We know that there is a biblical prohibition. There is a Torah prohibition. Phew! Almost used that word. Torah prohibition. There's a Torah prohibition for a person to praise non-Jews. Okay? If it sounds unusual to you, please go back, look it up on YouTube or look it up on the great site of Tomer Dvorah. And you could look, there were many classes on the problems of praising the Christian world. Check it out. So, the holy Makor Chesed, he asked this tremendous question. I don't understand what's going on. Did the Talmud forget that one is not allowed to praise the nations of the world? So what in the world is going on here when the Talmud is saying, oh, there's no Jews that know how to honor their parents? I could tell you stories from now till tomorrow about familiar stories with me. I know of friends or acquaintances or family members that had tremendous self-sacrifice for their parents. I mean, they went down, you know what I'm saying? They went down to the line. So we can't find any examples of Jews that honor. The number one, the gold medal of honoring one's parents is Dama ben Tina. We're praising? What's going on here? That's the first problem. Second problem is, I don't understand. The guy did a great thing. Dama ben Tina, okay. We take off our hats, if we had one. We take off our hats. He did a great thing. So what's the problem for God to give Dama ben Netina a tremendous reward. What's the reward? He's walking down the street, and all of a sudden, he falls over something, a box. He opens up the box, and there's this ancient treasure in that box. Now he's made it. He got all that money. I mean, there are a million ways that Hashem, God, could have repaid him without it being on the bill of the Jewish people. Look at the story. Story is that the Jewish people had to dish the bucks out to pay Dama ben Netina for this red cow. Now, if Hashem wants to reward him, he deserves reward. But there's 1,000,001 rewards. I mean, hit the jackpot in Vegas. Find a treasure. You know, there's 1,000,001 ways that a person make a great business deal. Open up a business. Successful. Sell your house. Make a few million. There is 1,000,000 ways that God could have given Dama ben Netina a reward without affecting the Jewish people, without putting us out. Why did he do it this way? Woohoo! 2 heavy questions. And here is the tremendous answer. He says the following, that here the Jewish people, I'll read it out. The Makor Chesed says a tremendous answer. The Gemara is not transgressing the Torah prohibition of lo techonem, of not praising the Christian world. It was not over that prohibition. Why? Because in essence, this is a tremendous praise of the Jewish people. How is that? What's the praise of the Jewish people here? Now check this one out. This is one of those curveballs coming your way. So the Makor Chesed says that if you look at it, the commandment to honor one's parents is a commandment that every person on the block understands. It is not something that, even if it did not say it in the Torah to honor one's parents, a person who has a P in his head understands that your parents woke up at night, your parents changed your diapers, parents washed you off, they send you to school, send you to college, they helped you out, they gave you meals, they got you dressed, you know, heard you crying. Everyone understands. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand that you have to have respect for people, appreciation for people that went to bat for you, people that helped you out. But this is the greatness. So that anybody could do. That anybody could do. Honor one's parents? Okay, big deal. Everyone understands that, and everyone could fulfill that. What was the greatness here of the story? The greatness here is a story that the Jewish people were willing for a commandment that makes no sense, quote unquote. Everything has its reasons. We're just not able to understand it, to download the information. It's way above us. But think about it. This red cow is a tremendous, even Moses was unable to understand this commandment. It was way beyond even the greatest of the greats, Moses. So they were willing to put out a tremendous amount of money to pay for this red cow, who does what? The red cow is an amazing story. A priest that takes the ashes of the red cow, mixed with a few things, and sprinkles. Now he's pure. That's why he's sprinkling on a person that came in contact with, let's say, a dead person. So that person is impure. So let's say I'm the Kohen, I'm pure, and I sprinkle this mix onto this person. Now this person who received the mix on his head, this person that received it, he is now pure. But I, who poured it on, I am now impure. Oh yeah, what's going on? This is exactly the opposite of logic. I was pure, now we should both be pure. No, now the guy that was impure, he's pure, and I who was pure, who used this mixture, now I am impure. So that's the idea here. That Hashem is showing the greatest of the Jewish people. It's true for a commandment that every Joe and Tony can understand of honoring one's parents. As I've said before, in my neighborhood, man, did you say something about my mama? You don't talk about my mama. Whew, that's World War III. You said something about my mama? You just don't do that. Okay? So everyone can understand that. You know, everyone can get it. It's not the greatest, you know, you have respect to your parents, you're not on such a great high level. But to put out a tremendous amount of money for a commandment which goes against logic, only the Jewish people are willing to put their money out for such a commandment that goes against logic. That's what he's saying here. This idea is not only of the Mekor Chesed, this idea is brought down by the book Be'er Shimon. It's on the tractate of Avodah Zarah, idol worshipping, on page 23, side B. He brings down Maimonides that says specifically, brings down the halacha, the Jewish law, that is forbidden to praise those that are connected to idol worshipping. And how much more so this case, there's a Torah prohibition against it, the Rambam, Maimonides brings down. So how could this be that here we see that the Talmud is praising Dama ben Netina? So his answer is a different kind of answer. He says the following, that the Maimonides tells us, why aren't you allowed to praise idol worshippers? Because of the fact that once you start praising, you make a connection, you make a bridge. And once you have a bridge, you are opening up yourself for all kinds of influences. So therefore, this is a danger, and we want to stop it in the bud. So therefore, no praising, no relations, no bridges. And then it's not problematic. So here in the case, the Talmud is talking about this way after Dama ben Netina and his father, of course, were way gone, were no longer in the world. This is hundreds of years later. So therefore, there's no problem here of praising these idol worshippers, because of the fact that there is no influence, there is no bridge, because they don't exist. It's only when people can contact, you could email people, you could Twitter, you could Instagram people. When there's a contact between people or groups, this is the problem. But these people were long gone, they weren't alive anymore. So therefore, that is the conclusion of the Be'er Shimon. Now, we're going to go one step further here. We're now in the classical Psikta Rapti. We are on page 215 on the fourth commandment in the 10 commandments, which of course is honoring one's parents. In this book, the Psikta Rapti, he brings down the whole story that the Talmud brought down of Dama ben Atina. He brings down the whole story. And then he says the following unbelievable. This is a commentary. It's called the Zera Ephraim by Rabbi Ephraim Zalman Margaliot. And this book was published 270 years ago. So we're talking about a commentator that lived roughly 300 years ago. And he has amazing stuff. So I'm going to summarize it here. After he brings down the understanding that he brings down the various commentators that speak about the fact that the Jewish people, for a commandment that does not make sense, are willing to put their money on the line, whereas non-Jews are willing to put money on their line if something that they understand, something that speaks their language, something that they could identify with. Then he says the following. He says the following. Remember our classes on has Trump out-Trumped the Jews? We're talking about the danger that when a non-Jew or a nation does some kind of good deed, should the Jewish people be celebrating out there? Or should the Jewish people be worried? And now this is the connection between those classes. So here's the take. It says the following, this commentator, Zera Ephraim. As soon as Dama ben Atina refused to wake up his father, and he showed a tremendous amount of sacrifice for the commandment to honor one's parents, this caused a tremendous boomerang. This caused a tremendous boomerang against the Jewish people. A derogatory, was very derogatory for the Jewish people. Because now, as we said always, what happens is that as soon as a nation or an individual, a non-Jewish individual, they do something special, something that deserves, to be complimented, God immediately looks at the Jewish people and says, hey, in that area where this person is excelling, let's look at the Jewish people. Are they also excelling in the same area? If they are, that's okay. If not, we're in hot water here. So he says there was tremendous amount of prosecution against the Jewish people. Once Dama ben Atina, the son of Natina, did such an act. Where are the Jewish people when it comes to honoring one's parents? And because of the fact that God loves his Jewish people, and he wanted to quiet down this evil decree against the Jewish people. He wanted to eliminate that decree. He gave this Dama ben, the son of Natina, he gave him this red cow that doesn't have any, we can't understand any reason for that commandment of taking the red cow and slaughtering it and sprinkling it on somebody, and then the person that's pure becomes impure, the impure becomes